This whole lesson is being, there's a lot of Bible in it throughout the whole lesson, and just, unfortunately, life experiences, things learned the hard way. So, that means Stephen both learned the hard way. All right, number 24. Should bank accounts be joint? I think they should. Two become one, right?
Now, that's opinion. I'm not going to be rude. That's opinion. Now, we don't have separate accounts. Don't get me wrong, but that's an opinion. I hope you're going to show me the Bible where bank accounts should not be separate.
Should there be his and her money?
Maybe some people financially take care of certain parts of business, and some people don't.
Well, I just said some of this from life experiences. Okay, now you can take it for what you want.
I am.
But
I appreciate you too, but now, biblically, I just don't see it. Because people have decisions to make about their monies, male or female. I mean, husband and wife, I assume you're saying, right?
well, yeah.
Okay, that's just my point.
Well, that's what I said. Two become one. There's such thing as his and her money. Things should be together, jointly. Everything, decisions, finances, everything will be joint. That's what I felt.
My goodness, if I had to take care of our checking account, I shop her all the time. I wouldn't have the faintest idea how. I mean, our checking account's together. Everything we have is together. But my goodness sakes, alive, if something happened to her, I probably should have in jail somewhere. I don't know.
You're just awful.
It's just had to learn.
Me and my wife was married 40 years. She always took care of the bank account. We had joint accounts. She always took care of paying the bills, getting the groceries. If I need anything, she would give it for me. But she took care of the.
That's altogether a different point.
Right.
That's not even what he's saying. What he's saying is, should. Did I read it right?
Yep.
Should bank accounts be joint? My answer is no. In certain cases, yes and no.
Right.
I'm just being honest as you are.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say when you have separate bank accounts, because when I was married, I had a joint and a separate. It's like, I had bills to pay out of the separate one, but I didn't really like having a separate account because it kind of shows a little bit of division in it.
So it's kind of like a prenuptial agreement.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like having a separate account. That was partly his choice because it was like, okay, so why, a little fishy there. That's what I'm looking at.
There's no problem with somebody managing the joint account. I mean, you can't have two leaders. When me and Steph got married, before we got married, and this sounds crazy, but we actually bought a house before we got married. Now they talk about commitment. I mean, that's how much we invested in each other. But when we were in our credit scores, we was both over 800. So that taught me right there, she was responsible for money. You don't get 800 credit score by being irresponsible. And so I told her, when we got married, she done accounting and stuff for Rite Aid where she worked. So she knew how to deal with money. And I told her, it's like this. You can manage the bills. You mess up, I take it. She's never messed up. So
the variables on that is so immense that you could never get it straight one way or the other. There could always be an and a no at the same time.
and a no. What do you mean?
Yes or no. Depends. If I had $100 million in the bank and I got married, want me to put her on my account and she had nothing? Well, give her
Welcome to
allowance.
Hollywood.
Give her allowance or something.
What if that was reversed?
It could be the same
If
thing.
it was
It
the
could be
reverse,
reversed,
let's
yeah.
go there.
If a man works all his life, for something and then gets married and she tries to take it away from him, that's not right.
think you'd be a very good choice at that.
Thank you for,
That's what I'm saying, there's
the
so many
love of
variables.
money is the root of all evil.
That's
Money.
right, that's what the Bible
I feel like I'm going to pass out.
But there's so many variables in there.
Steph knows I've probably done this maybe 5 times since we've been together. And this is the fastest I've recovered from one. Seriously, it takes you 15, 20 minutes.
Not a prayer for us.
So that made a difference, I'm telling you. All right, now I got your attention. 25. All right. Should there be any privacy between spouses when it comes to emails, cell phones, etc.? No.
Absolutely not.
Here it goes to trust issues.
Yeah,
Steph and I, we have the same password on our cell phones.
we do too.
So you can pick my cell phone anytime she wants and see whatever. It don't matter to me. And vice versa. We have no secrets. We track each other's cell phones, not to be nosy or spying, but if I can't get a hold of her and she's not answering the phone, and I pull up where she's at, and she's at so-and-so's house, like she's busy, she's tied up, she's got her ear. So I know she'll call me later. And it's good to have, if she's got an accident or something, I can find her, and she's used it to find me, like, I'm gonna meet you at such and such place, where's that? I should track my phone and get directions to find me, so.
Dovel, the greatest thing I believe is with Scotty, this is the first time I've ever really had the trust that we have between us. Is if nobody's trying to hide nothing on the phone, and you don't even wanna look, you won't have no need to look. Right?
See, Steph, when we first got married, she had 2 ex-husbands. I had an ex-wife. That's why we got a little bit of experience in this, and she does too, so I'm teaching from experience. She had a real trust issue. She had 2 guys cheating on her. Okay, so I had to earn her trust. It wasn't just free. And a lot of people, you'll trust them until you do something wrong. Well, it wasn't that way with her. I had to earn her trust. She just thought all men were pigs, you know. And it took a while. She had her walls up, and it probably was a good year. I mean, if I didn't answer the phone immediately, she thought I was all on the phone with another girl or something. And most times with my mom, you know. But there for a while, I had to, okay, Mom, Steph's calling, I gotta go. Just to let her know, hey, I'm okay, I'm talking to my mom, you know, it's all right. And it took a while, but she learned to trust me. She knows I'm there, I'm dedicated, I'm committed, I'm not going anywhere. All right, so somebody go to Genesis 2:24. If you don't have trust in a marriage, you really don't have anything to work on. You got to have trust, and you're just handicapped. Get good. Should newlyweds live with their parents to save money for a home to get off to a good start?
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
So what's it say there? A man shall what?
Cleave to his wife, leave his father and mother.
Leave his father and mother. What did it mean in the Bible days when it said Joseph was betrothed to Mary? How long did that betrothal process last? About approximately about a year. What was the husband doing in that year's time?
Preparing their household.
Preparing her home, getting home in order, ready. So this is a Bible standard here. You know, it doesn't work very well. A man's supposed to cling to his woman, his wife, and if you're living with mommy or daddy, they got too much influence in the marriage. You know, you all need to work on your marriage. You don't. We watch this show on TV sometimes, and there's this couple on there. This man, he talks to his mom about everything and keeps his wife in the dark about most stuff. That's messed up. You know, the first person you ought to, your best friend should be your spouse, right?
It depends on which set of parents you lived with too. You know, if you live with hers or his, I mean, it's gonna be like that.
So you need to be on your own. You need to be together. Cleave to your wife. You know, I don't care if you're a mommy's boy or whatever. You got to be good husband to your wife. All right, so let's go to Psalms 127:1. What should be kept at the center of a good home?
God.
We're reading Psalms 127:1 for you.
Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain.
So right, God needs to be the center of your home. That he's, Jesus is the chief cornerstone. He needs to be the foundation of your home. My mom, when we got married, she bought us a thing, a plaque, I guess you say. It talks about a marriage takes three: husband, wife, and God. And it's a great thing. You need to build on God. There's a, how can I say this and be delicate? It's just a comment a lady made. She's wanted her husband to get saved. The day he got saved, she can immediately tell a difference. I'll say, like, she can immediately tell a difference. He loved her differently. He could tell because he had God in his life. There's a difference, huge difference. Okay.
I believe when you're young and you're starting out, and if you put an honest effort in trying to do it right, I think God will give you all these blessings that you need to make it work. If you truly seek to do it right.
Right.
That's why he's gonna be the third one in the marriage.
I heard this quote one time from Gail Sayre. He used to play running back for the Chicago Bears. He said, "The Lord is first, my friends and family are second, and I am third." Put the Lord first in everything you do, everything should work out fine.
He provides for you.
Yep.
Think of a tricycle. You only got two wheels on a tricycle. How you gonna? You're not gonna go very well, are you? That's why marriage is.
That's a good analogy.
You need three.
Right.
All right, so let's get on the husband section. So this is where I make the husbands mad and the women happy, and when I get to the last section, it'll go the other way. So I might be sitting down here again, man. I don't know. Okay, let's go to Genesis, first book of the Bible, Genesis 2:23 and 24. What is a husband's first duty? Maybe read 23 and 24 for me.
And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of me." Oh, I'm sorry. "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh."
Okay.
Did I read the right word?
Yep, sure did. So what's a husband's first duty?
Cleave to his wife.
Cleave to his wife. And very nice question. What does that word cleave mean? What does it mean?
Stay with her, stay by her side.
Biblical hold fast.
Hold fast, cling to, hold on to be with. I mean, a husband and wife should have joint lives. Everything should be joint. You don't have your life and her life. Steph don't go out and run around, and I don't go out and run around. We do things together most of the time. There's nothing wrong having friends, okay? Don't get me wrong. But I know couples that, the guy, he works all week long, and on the weekends, he goes there a weekend and throws darts or drives four-wheelers all weekend long, and don't spend the time with his family. Well, that's not putting her in her right priority. That's messed up. Your wife is ahead of your friends, and vice versa. So you should not have separate lives. That's a division. And that will work with that and drive you further apart. It's not good.
That's kind of like if one of you is a Christian, one of them is not, too. You wouldn't be leading the same life as serving God. We're different.
She may be glad he's gone.
There's times you might need to separate to blow some steam off. Jeannie Taylor, she killed him. "Yeah, my husband get mad, he's getting kind of peel the wheels out for a while and you come back." Now, that's been few and far between, but there's times me and Steph had to go blow some steam off. So sometimes it's best to bite the lip, back up, calm down,
it's always best to calm down before you can't communicate or solve a problem in front of just blowing steam out of your ears.
Once it comes out of your lips, you can't take it back.
Right. And,
You can apologize, you can be forgiven,
yeah, once it's out of the mouth.
Honestly, women are like elephants. We remember everything.
Amen.
And I get out of the satchel, and 20 years from now, we'll still throw it in your face.
Right.
no, that's not right. But that's the truth, but that ain't right. Her forgive now.
I saw a little meme that had a file cabinet, and one of them was standing over, and she goes, oh, I'm gonna use that next year, I'll say that.
That's exactly right.
See, man, we just forget it. We're done, we got everything, move on, don't think about it no more.
Well, let's just face it, women hear better than men. You can't say anything that they won't hear.
I don't know about that.
Well, the difference is women listen. Hearing and listening is the knowledge. Hearing is a body, is a sense, and listening.
Watch out now, he's gonna pass out again.
I'm okay so far.
Listening is not, just hearing, that's a function, it's a sense. Listening is actually being interested and paying attention to the person that's talking to you, because you care about what they're saying.
Right. Well, what if you're watching a Mountaineer football game? I don't want to miss nothing.
Well, I guess if it was important, she'd just walk in and change the channel or something.
You said I had three things you had a problem with, listening and some other stuff.
Like I always said, when they have an accident, puts that notch in the tree, that notch is always there. I don't care how much you apologize for it, it's always there. You can't put it back.
That's one of the hardest things though, is misunderstanding. But the husband may assume something, or the wife assume something that's not true.
Well,
Hearsay.
Perception.
yeah, that's what's
Hearsay.
perception's everything. Right or wrong, perception's everything, and that's why communication is important. You gotta talk it out.
But it's
There's things,
important
she
to
done
speak
something our day.
clearly, too, because sometimes I think that's what, a little bit what Roy's talking about. You might say something and you mean it one way and they take it a different way. That's why you gotta be sure to say it, be on the same page, don't be, because, it's happened with us. I'll say one thing and he takes it like, oh, she meant this, and I'm like, no, I meant this. Well, then just say it like that. Don't beat around the bush, whack it on that.
Nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Barney Fife say nip it in the bud. As it festers, it'll get bigger, snowball, and bigger and bigger. Just talk it out, get out of the way.
Something simple though could be understood as something different, and then like, what do you mean? That's not right.
Right.
Yeah, when my
And-
wife and I were married, we had a disagreement, we couldn't settle, we went and had prayer and talked to God and turned over to God, and let Him take care of it.
That's good. We found pretty much most everything we've ever had she calls it hiccups, she don't call them arguments like hiccups. It's a misunderstanding. She didn't understand what I meant or vice versa. And I told her, like I said, it's like men and women when they get married, it's like, I don't know, the Freemasons, it's a man's secrets, women's secrets you can't share with the other spouse. Well, that's stupid. You need to get that bond to understand it and say, wait a minute. One thing I told her early on, men don't take hints.
Right.
We don't.
Scott's told me.
Well, like computers, you gotta put input, give us data. We can't work on hints, it don't work. She's tried it. 20 years later, guess what? It still don't work.
Denton's up the river, isn't it?
What's that?
Denton's
It's
up
down the river from here.
Yeah.
We
Just tell me straight. Don't beat around the bush. Just tell me. Don't play games with me.
We literally
It's
sat
self-
down and he trained me how men think, and I trained him how women think. And just certain things like if we're having our hiccup, if he will just let me talk it out, I will talk myself out of it. But he needs to let me get it off my chest. Where men, they say one thing and they're done.
Yeah.
Even little boys when they're little, they can fight, have fist fights, and 5 minutes later, they're best friends again. Where girls, when they fight, they can hold grudges for now on. You have to let us get it response. And the same thing with me, if you do this, you're gonna get that response. So we trained each other what our personalities were and what was gonna happen. I know, I'm a redhead, I've got a temper. If you do certain things, I'm gonna give you, grief, so don't do it. And it'll save us a lot of trouble. One of the things, talking about perception, I had been out cutting grass.
I'm fine.
I've been out cutting grass, it was like 90 degrees, and I was cutting mom's and mine and my brother's and everything, and with a push mower, and he comes in, I'm dying. He starts looking in the pots, seeing if there's something to cook. He's like, what's for dinner? I'm like, oh. And I'm thinking, I'm getting mad. So I actually left the room and I came back and I'm like, we need to talk. You cannot make me get out there and cut the grass all day long and think I'm gonna have dinner ready when you walk through the door. But he didn't mean no harm. He was just wondering what's for dinner. If y'all have none, that's fine. I'll eat a sandwich. But
Yeah, I mean, big boy, I can make something myself. We can order out. I mean, it's no big deal.
He came home the next
She
day
just
with a new
assumed like,
problem.
gosh, how dare you? I've been killing my guts out there burning up, and you just like, where's my supper, woman? That's not what I meant. But that, here again, is a misunderstanding.
If you're like me, you're wrong before you start.
Tell Ed everything about it.
Everything's over.
I bet he gets jealous.
Okay. Now, I'm looking for a lot of women to chime in on these answers here. Number 30, what should a husband provide for his wife? Or servant?
Home.
Safety, support,
Protection, what kind of support?
emotional, and, he should provide for his family financially. You know, the man should wanna work and provide for his family the best he can.
Stay home there.
If a man's gonna ask a woman to marry her, he should be ready to prepare to supply her with all her needs.
Right. And there's several. I mean, we've already talked about emotional, financial, moral, spiritual leadership.
Spiritually,
Right? See, it's where, well, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. Man wants to be ahead of home, well, there's a lot of responsibility to that. It's not just, there's a misconception, a lot of men think that means I'm the boss. No, you're a leader. There's a difference.
yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. Are
And
you an effective leader or not? And
one of my exes wanted, I'm the head of the household, but not taking on the responsibility of being the head of the household, just thinking because you're the man, you're in charge.
a man should not have to say, I'm the head of the house. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the problem right
Well, I
there.
mean, that's just the activity.
I'm the boss.
I'm like Stephanie, I had a couple of dinners.
So-
I'm listening now, we need.
Only while you need you.
That's right. What did you say?
If I say it while I'm here, I can't, we'll get beat up.
He's the boss of him.
Oh, it's only in his mind.
Do you run things at your house, a sweeper, a dishwasher, and no, a husband ought to provide financial security, protection, emotional needs, physical needs, and spiritual leadership, right?
And the whole love. And you got
Absolutely.
You don't have love.
You got to have home before you get married for his wife.
Right.
Nowadays, though, that people start off, they get married and have an apartment or something, and work their way up to a house.
Right.
But it's still home, I guess.
I know
Right.
a couple that they heard a noise, they was in bed and they heard a noise. He made her get up and check it out.
I do the same thing.
Huh?
I do the same thing.
He made her get up and check it.
So she's talking to you, Wes, listen.
That to me, I looked at recently.
Yeah, really, how safe does that make his wife feel? Wesley's only saying these things because he's in here and he knows he can't get, he knows she can't get out in here.
Well, I'll pay more when I get in the car.
Got a long ride home.
If you go to the younger generation anymore, it's not about love, it's about love.
All right.
That's what they look at.
And that's a terrible foundation.
It
That
is.
foundation
That's what
crumbles.
they look at.
Yeah.
These old men want these trophy wives. Scott told me he was a trophy husband. Scott, yeah, he said it's a hard job being a trophy husband. He does.
Okay, Ephesians 5:22 and 23.
Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife. Also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wife be their own husband in everything.
Okay. So who's the head of the home scripturally? The husband, man, it's very clear. Now, you may not agree with what I'm going to say here, but it's Bible. There's no such thing as a 50-50 marriage. There's got to be, you can't have two managers, you can't have two heads. It don't work. Somebody's got to have the majority of the decision making responsibility. Yeah.
It can be 49-51 though.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I
I'll give
agree
it,
to those terms.
yeah, I'll give that 100%. Steph and I raising the kids, if we had an issue that we butted heads on, for example, you know, we would try to talk, communicate it out, come to some kind of terms, but in the end, if we can't come to terms, she let me have the final say. And like I said, being a head of the house, that's responsibility. I'm the answer for that decision. Her hands is free of it now. If she turned it over to me to make a final decision, it's all on me, right or wrong.
You'll
So,
have to answer for it in heaven, I won't. He's the head of the household, and if he makes the wrong decision, it's on him, it's not me.
all right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, imagine how successful a football team if you had two head coaches. I want to do this way, and your teammates are going crazy.
You know, 75-25
51-49.
I like that 25 there, Roger.
So funny.
You know, it's like, I heard this analogy on one of these preachers talking about this. It's kind of like a husband's a steering wheel of a marriage. You know, a husband should lead and guide and drive his marriage. How successful marriage is like, okay, the husband goes like, okay, I'm gonna let go of the wheel, I'm tired. Well, you're just gonna have a wreck or an accident, that bad's gonna happen, ain't it? And it's a 24/7, 365 job. You can't let up. Okay. Still in the book of Ephesians. What kind of love should a husband have? Somebody read Ephesians 5:25 through 29.
Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
Read down through 29, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. That he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own body. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church.
So you're reading that, we're talking about Christ being the head of the church. And so through that passage, what kind of love should a husband have toward his wife? What'd you say, Amanda?
Love him as Christ loved the church, even unto death. That's what he said.
Right. A husband should have a sacrificial love for his wife. Okay. There's, like we talked about here, well, about a month ago, last time I taught, actually, when we first got married, I had a motorcycle. Love motorcycle. I ended up having to sell it to pay for my divorce. As I said today. So when I married Steph, she despised motorcycles. She's scared to death of motorcycles. She's like, no husband ought to have a motorcycle because I'm fully, 3 months after we were married, I had to quit her job. She said, I'm fully financially dependent on you. Something happens to you, I'm in trouble. So that was one of them sacrificial things. I gave up on a motorcycle. Like, I don't need one. I'm not gonna have one if you're gonna be in torment. It's not worth it to me. Okay? That's that sacrificial love. You know, like, well, you ought to have something to please yourself. It pleases me to please her. Okay?
Yeah.
So, it's not a big deal. You know, if she ever changes her mind, I still got my motorcycle helmet.
Plus, you know,
You should wear that around the house. You go vroom vroom around the house like that.
Have a little Danny kid, I'll put on these little tykes here, son. Have fun.
Stephanie would never get on the motorcycle with you, so then you'd be doing some of the stuff too.
Right.
I can't blame her though,
Right.
honestly.
Which my family was tickled to death because everyone in my family hated me having a motorcycle day. You're gonna get killed, Junior. You know, they just.
My dad lost his leg because of one. Almost lost his life.
I've got a titanium plate and 2 titanium screws right here because of one, but the way I see it is, you're gonna go when God says it's your day to go. And that don't matter if it's on a motorcycle, pickup truck, airplane, walking down the road. It doesn't, you know, so.
Bible says you can add to your day. For sure, you know, I don't mean to just be the one that disagrees. I believe you can prolong your life. And I believe you can shorten your day.
I do too.
Yeah, oh, definitely, you can shorten your day. Jumping off a pretty good bridge, but not taking
Now,
care of yourself,
and
drinking and drugging.
In this same context, we talk about sacrificial love. Now, notice there in verse 20 it says, "So ought men to love their wives as their own body. He that loveth his wife loveth himself." Okay? For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it. A husband needs to nourish and cherish his wife. If you want flowers to grow, you can't pull them up. You can't pull them. You gotta nourish them, you gotta water them, you gotta be, you gotta take care of them. Same with a husband with a wife, you gotta take care of your wife. You gotta nourish her just like she's a plant or something. Okay? You know, love gives, love don't take. Okay? A lot of people's society, especially today, is me. Love gives, love don't take. Marriage is give and take, makes it work.
One of my best friends, when she got married, she had friends on Facebook that were guys, and it bothered her new husband. And he actually texted me, he said, "Will you please tell her that get rid of those friends and everything?" And so I talked to her and everything. We actually met him for supper one evening. I'm like, "You're wrong. You're wrong. If it causes him, you may just be friends. It's guys you went to school with and everything, but it's bothering him. So why do you want to bring that into your marriage and cause him insecurities right off the bat?" And anyways, after at the end of the thing, she said, "I had no idea how much work you and Dovel put into your marriage, and because when Ace was in school, Dovel and I was like the envy of all the other women. They'd be like, look at them over there holding hands. Wish I had that and everything. But they had no idea how much work we actually put into it. We don't consider it work, but we're very, we're proactive in making sure things don't get out of hand real quick. And we look out for the other one, and if I see something that I think will make him happy, I'm all over it and everything. But it's like a child. You don't bring a child into the world and just say, "Oh well, there you are, take care of yourself." You have to diaper them and clean them and make sure that they're brought up in church and all these things. Consider your marriage that of a child. You have to nurture it. You have to give it the godly things that are, it's biblical. It's biblical, the things that you have to do, just like you would a child. You have to give it nourishment. You have to give it attention. You have to give it spiritual guidance and go to church. You have to do all these things to have a healthy marriage, just like you would a child.
You have to protect it. When we talk about protect, there's more of protecting a marriage than just protecting the wife physically from harm. You have to protect your marriage, both sides. If I see Steph doing something that I think Hey, placing, that's not a good idea. She has guys on Facebook sending her friend requests. I seen your post and blah, 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 blah. I said,
Those are weirdos,
don't
yeah,
accept it.
sometimes who you have never heard of them.
Don't do it.
Yeah, that's ones that
It's not a
say
good
they have
idea.
accounts.
So we're looking out for each other, you know. I will never, I love everybody in this church, but if I was here by myself and a female said, can you give me a ride home? I can't do it, won't do it.
Yeah,
It
right.
used to be an old word they used a long time ago. About men, girls and wives and all that. You know what that word was?
What's it?
Impact.
I knew that's what you're gonna say.
Was it?
Impact.
But no, that's right, because even though you trust each other 100%, by just putting yourself in that position, it opens up a door that, you know, doubtful or this, that, or I saw that was another one in a car or something. So, yeah, I mean, that's the way it should be.
You have to be protective of your marriage. You gotta be, even just take a step farther, your Christian walk. You need to be protective of your Christian walk. If something could put you in a bad light, don't do it, period. I mean, let's go above a marriage. He's talking about him. Now, I've been there, done that. That was my last marriage. It didn't work too well. I went along to get along, done worse. She wants to shut her up. I mean, it's just the truth of it. It didn't work. So, you know, does Steph get everything she wants? Do you? No.
I will tell you this, when I first married him, where he was so programmed to get along with his ex-wife, he was just kissing my honey. I mean, anything that I wanted, that's the way I could. And I was like, this isn't even attractive. You know, I mean, a man that isn't the man kind of thing. And I sat him down and I told him, I said, look, I said, I'm human. And if you are constantly just, you know, whatever, honey, whatever, I'm gonna run all over top of you. You're gonna be my doormat before long because I'm human. I was like, well, I can do this. He'll let me. He'll get by with us and everything. I said, you're gonna have to be the head of the household. It's not my responsibility. I'm done. Don't wanna do it no more. And I told him, I said, it's like cake. I mean, you give me a piece of cake, I'm gonna love it, I'm gonna enjoy it. But if you give me the whole cake and make me eat it, I'm gonna puke. I said, you got to just give me, I mean, be the man. You don't have to be a wimp. It's not attractive.
So who trained who?
We both trained each other. We communicate, and we did that early on. Like I said, our first day was a 3-hour interrogation. Kid you not, we got to Papa John's Pizza, went to my apartment, 3 hours, question after question. We talked about everything from kids, the religion, the politics, the sex. I mean, everything was on the table. We knew what we had that didn't work. We knew what we wanted, and we just put it out right on the first date.
There was no sense in wasting each other's time.
Many of us do was real romantic when it comes to getting married.
It
We
was.
sat in the car getting ready to pull out of the road, and I looked over, do you want to marry me? Well, I reckon.
Can't you put it that way?
And that's the reason why I told him. And that was 54 years ago.
That strikes me way different than others.
Yes, Sam. Well, that doesn't give the woman the feeling of, I've got a man that's the head of the household, that's sort of protecting.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's
They
exactly.
just sort of like, oh, yes,
Well,
yes.
Think about it. Can you respect a boss that's a yes man?
No.
Why should I expect my wife to respect me if I'm a yes man? So we've taught each other a lot, a whole
There's no
lot.
growth when there's no conflict either. And I'm not necessarily meaning like fighting, I mean, you know, if you're constantly saying yes to everything, even though internally you disagree, when you don't have those disagreements, you're not growing either together. You're growing in resentment.
Right.
That's what's growing.
That's exactly.
That's
right.
what's growing.
That's
You ain't growing closer together, you're growing to resentment.
If Dovel just constantly gave in to me, and never voiced his opinion,
Yeah.
like you're saying, eventually it would grow into resentment. I need to know what he feels. I need to hear what he's thinking, so you don't end up resenting me.
And if you don't communicate, that's what's gonna happen.
Well, I think it's time we get off that, what the men should do for the women.
Let's hang on, we'll have your turn. Well, ladies are usually first, but I want to start with husbands this time.
I like what my son
We
did
gotta
when
know
he
what
got
the
married.
respect they doing for the men.
What'd you say,
My
Will?
son was at a wedding, there's all these women there and stuff, and he just looked at him, he said, if you ain't interested in getting married and having kids, don't even talk to me. That's the way he looked at it, and that's the way he thought about it.
Yeah, put it right there on the table. I mean, we talked about all that. There was things that was like deal breakers. You know, I had 2 kids. If she couldn't have loved my kids as their own, we was done right there. So we just had to get all that stuff out. And that's a big one. If somebody wants to have kids and they don't, you better not get married because that'll cause resentment. Okay, let's do a couple more real quick and I'll cut it off here. 33, let's go to 1 Timothy 5:8. 1 Timothy 5:8. What does the Bible state about a man that doesn't provide for his home?
If any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
So what's an infidel?
The infidel is like,
Unlearned.
Unlearned, lost, unbelievable. That's pretty bad, isn't it? A man is to provide for his house if he's physically able. And there are some exceptions, okay? I heard a statistic there that I thought, wow, it was bad. It was that bad. In the 1950s, we talking about men working. Men ought to work, okay? Unless, like I say, unless you get physically disabled, you know, or something you can't. You should work. You should be the breadwinner of the home.
well, if you get old,
You retire or whatever, but, you know, for the man to sit home, play video games or whatever, and the wife's out there working her guts, that's messed up. But anyway, 1950s, these are stats. 1 out of 50 men didn't want to work. 1 out of 50, 2%. Now, it's 1 out of 9 don't want to work. 11%. That's ridiculous.
They wonder why they're so lonely.
I'm not
I
surprised.
mean,
it's not a
truthfully,
woman.
because what woman wants to be with somebody when you're carrying all the love?
Let's go on a date where you pay for everything.
No.
I'll
Girl,
grab a driver's
perform for me
license, so
what I
I'll just
say.
ride shotgun with you.
I'm the one that gets chased. I don't chase you. That's how this works.
Right, that's right.
It also says you should provide and sin not to. You shouldn't sin, you ought to provide and sin not.
You know, society has changed. Nowadays, the women has become the more aggressive.
I don't know how that means it. How does the woman become more aggressive? What do you mean?
They get all these high-paid jobs. The men work the mediocre jobs. These pretty women go in there and they get what they want. They get the big jobs, they get government jobs. They get all in charge of everything. Look how many women's in charge of big corporations.
I can't look at how many women's in charge, I just don't see the point. I'm not trying to be here to disagree. When we get into this husband and wife, if we're gonna stay in the Bible, I'm fine. But this assumption of a woman works more than a man, or something, you know, we're talking about a marriage, a family, a biblical marriage.
Right.
And we can also talk about what gets us divorced. But it's all in here.
Yep.
It's all in here. I can't assume about your problems outside the Bible. You know, when I counsel, and I have, and bring people in, the biggest problem they got is they're out of the scripture. They're not in the biblical realm. They're struggling and they're trying, but when you get out of this, that's why there is divorce. That's why there is separation and stuff. But if you stay in the scripture, husband and wife, if you stay in this Bible, you'll stay out of trouble.
Yep. A man should provide for his home.
That's why so many people are miserable too, I think, if they don't divorce and stay together, even though they should have, is because they're living not in this, they're just winging it or something in there.
Right.
And individual people too, if they're not in this, they're miserable.
Okay, 34, last one. What is a husband supposed to render unto his wife? 1 Corinthians 7:3.
Let the husband render unto his wife due to the husband, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
So what's a husband supposed to render to his wife?
Affection and support for one another.
What's benevolence mean? Goodwill and kindness. Goodwill and kindness. See, a husband that's the head of the house doesn't mean, should the wife be submissive to her husband? Yes. But the wife is not a doormat. Okay? A biblical and godly man wants to subject his wife to those standards, to that thing. It's not showing love and respect for women, especially love and respect for wives. You're not doing that if you're treating like a doormat. So just take care of her and nourish her. Okay, I'll go ahead and cut it off there.
But you know, to me, marriage, partnership. Say what you want, do what you want, the man's in charge, nobody's in charge. It's a partnership. But that's just my opinion.
But doesn't he still have to be the head of the household, the leader, to guide and help?
Whatever works for you. Okay, this morning, if you will, I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of parables. Jesus always spoke in parables a lot of times, and we have to think about, as we read parables, sometimes they're hard for us to understand. But I'm going to this morning, I'm going to start here in Matthew, this 18th chapter of Matthew. And I'm going to start here. He said, and the disciples came to Jesus saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And I think about greatest, and we would ask ourselves all the time, who is the greatest? We always want to be the greatest instead of just being the one. Let's try one time just to be the one, that one person that Jesus would one day when he looks at you, he'll say, welcome in. And he said, Jesus called a little one unto him and set him in the midst of him. And I pictured that in my mind. The disciples all sitting around and Jesus was sitting there and they asked him, who's the greatest? Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And he said, and verily I say unto you, unless you be converted and be as a little child, you're not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. And he said, whosoever shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. How humble are we? We were discussing, we've got a little thing we have to do next weekend, and we were discussing about people. And so, well, I'm not going to go there. Right. They support this or they support that. Right. But see, we have to be a light. Sometimes we're going to be put in a place that we don't want to be. Right. Maybe we shouldn't be there. But if we ever come to that place, we have to humble ourselves as little children. We have to be that light that someone can look to and see, maybe I need to follow after them. Yeah. Maybe I need to be a humble as a little child. Yeah. And I think about a humble little child, and I think about my boys when they were growing up. I spanked my boys, both of them. But you spank them, they'll start off, they'll go off, they'll cry, do whatever it is they have to do, and a little bit they'll come back and say, well, I love you, Dad, or I love your Mom. Right. We have to love everybody. We don't pick and choose who we like. No. Today, people worry too much about meeting our standards, being what we want them to be, instead of letting them be what they want to be and what they're going to be. We choose, we want to. Well, I'm not going to do that. I don't like what he does. I don't like what he says. He says, humble ourselves as little children. And I think about that, humble ourselves as little children. And we go in and I think about a kid. Especially a little young kid can be the humblest thing in the world. Yeah. And you think about how kind those the little things they can say to you. He says, wherefore, whosoever therefore shall humble himself as a little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And I thought about humble ourselves as a little child. Humble ourselves as a little child. He tells us to humble ourselves, not act like a child. Sometimes we have too many people that want to act like a child. They'll come into the church and they'll come in, they'll go sit down, and I can't get over this enough. We come in, we're in the church, but we're not part of the church. You know, I love to hear people say, well, I've been going to church for 30 years. I've been going to church for 10 years. I want to say, how long have you been a Christian? How long have you humbled yourself? How long have you been humble towards the Lord? Now, whosoever shall receive one of these little children, this little child in my name receiveth me. Has any of us ever mistreated a child? I love kids. Man, I'm telling you, I love kids. I've coached football, I've coached baseball, I do it. I just love kids. But there is some kids you'd like to pick up and shake their mother or their dad. But you know, we think, and I didn't mean that to be funny. We have to be an example for people. You know, I can say, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there because I don't like what they do there. Yeah. Okay. I don't like what they do there. Huh. Maybe Jesus thinks, well, I don't like what you're doing there. Maybe he thinks, I don't think what you're doing is what you should be doing. You know, we said as we pray, what do we ask for when we pray? I often think about, I always ask, let me be humble. Let me do what you want me to do. But that's what do we ask for when we pray? When you sit down at night or in the morning, whenever you pray, what do you ask for? Do you ask for in believing? Do you believe in your heart that it's going to come to, I won't use that word, come to good, we'll say. Think about it. Is it going to, when you pray, you know, I pray for my boys, I pray for the church, I pray for all this, but you know, when we pray, we want things to happen right then. Yeah. Well, a little child, you know, they'll say the Lord's Prayer. They'll say that prayer, and they have so much meaning in that prayer. If you would watch them and listen to those little children, those little kids, how they'll pray and sing. I used to sing in church and song all the time when my dad was preaching, and it won't even come to me now. But I always got up and sung that little song, and I can't help but think about, we have to be humble. We have to be humble, no matter what we do. If we can't be humble as little children, he says, but whosoever shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he were drowned in the depths of the sea. And he said, woe unto the world because of these offenses, for it must be that offenses come, but woe to the man whom the offenses come. And I said, I'm like Roger says sometimes, or Roy said, I'll sit and I'll read and I'll study. And I think about what's he saying here. And I got to thinking about Judas. And I thought about woe to the offenses that come. And Judas, what did Judas say? He says, I think about Judas when he was before Pilate and the priests. And he says, I have betrayed Jesus, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? Go to that. But he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. Think about Judas, and I think about if we mistreat a child, what's going to happen to us if we you know, you read so much about where they abuse children and to do the things that they do. One of these days, we're going to answer. You're going to answer. One of these days, we're going to answer for everything we've said or done in this world. We're going to stand before judgment. I don't care what anybody says. You know, you say, we talked to a lady, she was talking about when she dies, she goes to heaven. Well, if we go to heaven when we die, where is judgment? Where is it? There is no judgment. If you die and go to heaven, you're in heaven. What more would you want to go? What more would you want? And I think about that. Out of the body, what's it? Out of the body, be present with the Lord. I think about that verse a lot. I think about that a lot. And you think about whether out of the body or in the body. Out of the body, you're away from the Lord. You're away from the Lord because you choose to be away from Him.
Tell
And that's the only reason. You look at our churches and you wonder, why is our churches not empty? Because we're out of the body, we're worried about the lusts of the world, the sins of the world. What does it take?
Come on.
No. He said, take heed that you despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you, that in heaven there are angels always, behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. And I think about, you always see Jesus. I always picture Jesus. You usually see him with a child around somewhere. And you know, we can't act like children. We just can't. But we've got to be humble sometimes. You know, we have to be that person that wants people to be like us. That not me or you, but like us as a group. You know, when people come into church, we want to make everybody welcome.
Sure.
And you know, don't.
Sure.
And it's. But I thought about for the Son of Man to come to save that which was lost. Now I think about John 3:17, and I thought about that for a long time. The Son of Man which come to save that which was lost.
True.
And in John 3:16 or 3:17, he said, "For God sent not his Son to the world to condemn the world, but the world through him might be saved." And I think about things. Sometimes I'll be watching, especially a football game or something. Somebody will do something stupid, and I'll jump up and I'll say, "Why do you do that?" Well, we think about that. Just think about that this morning. He didn't hear you. But you still do it. We do things sometimes that we just really don't think about what we've done.
Right.
You know, we can go out and you can set, many of us have got a little project we've got to do next week, and they come to our house yesterday and talked to us, and when I was uncomfortable with them, I'll say that. They're supposed to be Christians. We're supposed to be Christians, so we have to say things that are what I call Christian-like. Now, we're all going to mess up, guys. All of us are. No matter what we do, we're going to make mistakes. But you can't be so hard about things. We have to treat people, let's say, as we want to be treated. How do you want to be treated? Ask yourself, how do you want to be treated? You know, Jesus said, humble yourself as a little child. Now, I don't think that he's saying here, get out here and walk around, you know, like a little child, playing in the mud and all that stuff like that. But if that's what you want to do it. But I'm saying what he wants you to do is to act like you're a Christian, act like Jesus. Would you think that he would act? Think about that this morning. How we act, because it's so easy for us to. It's easy for me to stand before you and say, this is the way I am. God knows what's in here. And that's all that matters. There's people will think bad of you, I don't care. But God knows what's in your heart. Yeah. Just like praying I prayed for something to happen. Took 4 years. Now think about it. But I prayed every night for that. Because I know that eventually that prayer was going to be answered. And that prayer was answered.
Good.
And it was answered the way it should have been answered. We don't pray to. So be find it verily I say unto you, rejoice. More of them, the sheep. Wait a minute, I got ahead of myself, I'm sorry. How think ye, if a man have 100 sheep, and one of them go astray, doeth he not leave the 99 and goeth to the mountains and seek that which is gone astray? And I think about our church, and we always say we would like to have one more and one more and one more. And we say, well, why is that one more important than the 99? Why are they more important? They're not more important, but that one is lost. And that one that's lost is the one that we need to find. That's the one we have to be the 99. To find the one that's lost. That's what we have to do. Find that one more. And you know, I think about someone that's not saved, and I think about, it'll be all right, World War I. What if it doesn't? What if God calls you home today, on your way home, and you're not saved and ready to meet your Savior? It's too late. There's no do-overs. Think about it. So even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish.
Amen.
And I think about that. You know, yeah, I love little kids, and I just tickled me to death. I could think about my boys when they were small, and you know, and I'd spank them, and we all should have spanked our children. Spare the rod and spoil the child. That's what's wrong today. We don't correct our kids. We just let them go and do as they see fit. But they go with the example that we show them is what they do. But I want you to think about that this morning. I want you to think about, he's telling us to be humble. Be humble. You don't have to make no big, what do you say? Just be what you are. Be what God wants you to be. Right. Before I go on to this next part, I want to thank everybody for all the kind words that you all gave Roy and I last Sunday. I'm not much, for some reason, I don't like to talk a whole lot if I'm not talking about this. Okay, this is my life. This is my life. This is what I love. Ethel Sue does most of the talking for us. You know, we talk about partners, wow. Talk about marriages and all this. She is. Bear with me. I find my next one here. The page got turned on me. So let's just remember. Let's be that light.
Right.
Now, I want to talk to you, I want to go a little different way now. I want to talk to you about working for God. Okay, we'll say it that way, we'll say working. And here in Matthew 20, he said, for the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that's a housekeeper, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. Now think about this. This guy comes out, he's needing people to work, we'll say in his garden, in his vineyard, whatever you want to say. Well, he comes out and he's needing these people to work for him. And what he does, he goes to this first guy, first group of people, and he says, you know, I'll give you a penny a day to work for me. So, okay, they take that penny. Well, today I come and I knelt down to the cross and I give my life to Jesus. I think, just bear with me. It said, I'm doing good. I'm working for God. I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. Then about 9 o'clock, we'll say, Roger comes. He kneels down. He gives his life to God. So now, just remember now, the son was been there since 8 o'clock. So Roger comes in at 9. He kneels down, he gives his life to God. He's out there working, doing just like he's supposed to be doing. You come to the next guy, they're out there standing idle. He's standing idle. Brenda, she's standing out there idle. She's not doing anything. It's noon. Brenda decides to come up, she comes to the altar. She turns her life to God. She's over here working, doing the things that you're supposed to do as a Christian. Doing good, doing real good. She's in life like she's supposed to do. Well, about 3 o'clock, comes Roy. Roy comes to the altar. He kneels down, he prays. He gives his life to God, does the things he's supposed to do. He's worked at it. Now I want you to think about this. Now Roger's been at it since 8 o'clock this morning. Well, Roy didn't come in until 3 o'clock. Do you think about that? You watch them all go about their day and what they're doing. Then about 5 o'clock, comes here stands let's see, here's saying Stanley. Stanley standing out there not doing nothing. So what are you standing here for? Out of you. You're standing here all day, you're doing nothing. What, you know, go to work, and I'll pay you what you're worth. So Stanley comes and he gives his life to the Lord, he's doing his work. Well, Judgment Day comes. Time to stand before God, we'll say. So what does he say? He says, call the last first. Call the last one first. He said, Roger, welcome in. Well done, my son. Just goes right down the line. Welcome in. Welcome in. Everybody. Comes the last guy, the last man, last woman, whatever it may be. And he's mad. Now wait a minute. You know, you're letting Roger in here now. Roger I've been out here all day. Roger's mad. He's been out here all day. He's worked. He's done all the things that's supposed to be done. But you give him the same reward you're giving me. Was that right?
No respect to persons.
Don't miss the point. Is that right? That Roger, because he's been here since 8 o'clock in the morning, and somebody else has been here since 5 o'clock, and he worked maybe an hour. So is this Christian any better than that Christian?
No.
That's right. We're all the same. No matter what we do, no matter what we say, we're all the same. If we believe in our mouth, confess with our mouth, and believe in our heart that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, we can be saved. True. It's like we talk about bedside repentance and all the different things. I believe truly in my heart. If you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that you can be saved, you can be saved. But you have to believe it in your heart. We think about sometimes the whole point I was trying to make there, he's talking about the vineyard and the guys coming in and working, and one has worked all these years and all these hours, and this one that just worked, and we're all paid the same. That's the way it'll be one day. You know, we may have a Christian that's just been a Christian for a week or 1 hour for that matter. But if you believe in their heart, they're going to get the same reward that we're going to get.
Yeah.
But we can't be envious of them. We have to be like little children. Think about how happy you're going to be when he says, welcome in, welcome in. Think about that this morning. We're going to be just like little kids. We're just going to be happy and rejoice and joyful. And I often think, what it would be like if he's come, let's welcome in. And I look over and I see Bill or Scott. Go away, I never knew you. You know, we have to carry on. No matter what, we have to carry on. We must go on. And you think it would be a sad day to see one of your kids.
True.
And you think about that. I try to talk to my boys about trying to get their lives together. And, you know, some of it sinks in, some of it don't. But I want you today, if you think about nothing else, don't be so quick to judge people. Don't be so quick. You know, if you've never stepped out and got your feet wet, don't judge somebody that has. Just judge with a righteous judgment. That's what it says. You know, let's be kind to one another, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just try to show a little love to one another.
Yes.
Just a little bit of love to one another. You know, if I tell you I love you, I mean it. I mean it from my heart. If I tell you I'll pray for you, I'll pray for you. And not just one time. I'll pray for you every night, every morning, whatever you ask. Okay, I'm gonna close right here with my favorite thing here. I don't wanna, he said he can be kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. So can we forgive people? Can we act like little children? Can we humble ourselves as little children? Sure we can. But we have to get by these things in the world. You know, my goodness sakes alive. I think about, I look at the people that's not here this morning, and many of us have talked about it coming up the road. We know who wasn't gonna be here because they were somewhere else or doing something else. Never lose the desire to go to church. I pray, Lord, don't let people lose the desire. Don't let them lose the desire to come to church. You know, you say, well, church don't make me a Christian. I've heard people say that. It might not make you a Christian, but it'll feed you the little meals that you need each week, each day, each time you come to church. And I would hope that one day we'll all be together somewhere in heaven.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care about walking on gold streets. I don't care about none of that. All I care about is being there. I care about talking to Jesus Christ one day.
Yes.
I care for you. I care for you, each and every
Sure.
one of you.
Amen.
You touch my heart. When you're not here, I miss you. I know where you sit. I pray where you sit. And I want you to be here because we love you.
Yeah.
I don't want you to just be here. I want you to be a part of here.
Right.
Don't just come in and sit down and say, well, I was at church today. I've been going to church here for 10 years.
There you go.
Just be part of it. Let's all be together. Let's
Yeah.
all be one little brotherhood, we'll say. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say this morning?
What's supposed to be